Ladies and gentlemen, in this season of your life, it's not about proving your presence. It's about protecting your peace. Some people only noticed you when you were doing the most, giving the most, showing up even when you were breaking down inside. But now, in 2025, this is your year to shift gears, to become so focused on your own healing, growth, and destiny that the noise of expectations, comparisons, and distractions fades in the background. You don't need to explain your absence when your presence was never truly valued. You don't owe a single soul an explanation for going quiet when your soul was screaming for peace. This year is not about keeping up. It's about letting go and care enough. Let them wonder where you went. Let them ask why you've changed. Let them talk, because while they're watching your silence, God is working in your stillness. You are not ignoring them. You are nurturing. You are reclaiming your boundaries. You are rebuilding from the inside out. When you are focused on the vision for your life, your time becomes expensive to spend on validation. Mastering your emotions, mastering your gifts, care enough, mastering your mind, mastering your calling. When the noise gets loud, get quiet. When people withdraw, don't chase. When the doors close, don't beg. Enough. When they stop calling, don't panic. Take it as a divine sign. It's your time to move from performing to transforming. Enough. And when they come back, and they will, let your peace be your answer. Let your glow speak louder than your words. Enough. Let the new you introduce itself without even opening its mouth. Let them miss you. Let them feel your absence. Let them replay your silence. Because 2025 is not the year you stay accessible to people who drain you. This is the year you grow so much that the old you becomes unrecognizable, even to yourself. Focus on your health. Focus on your spirit. Enough. Focus on your business. Focus on your family. Focus on your purpose. There comes a moment in every life when noise no longer satisfies the soul. Care enough. When activity no longer feels like progress. When the need to be seen, heard, and validated begins to rot under the weight of exhaustion. And in that moment, care enough. You don't need more attention. You need peace. But peace doesn't always come dressed in comfort. Sometimes it comes wrapped in distance. Care enough. Sometimes it requires silence. Sometimes it comes through pulling. Pulling back is not weakness. It's not retreat. It's not failure. It's wisdom. Care enough. When you pull back, you're not quitting. You're conserving. You're regrouping. You're returning to yourself. There is a sacred power in stepping away from everything and everyone that no longer fuels your faith, feeds your purpose, or fosters your growth. Care enough. You don't have to explain why you stopped showing up the way you used to. Care enough. You don't have people's dissertation on why your energy is no longer available on demand. You are not selfish. You are strategic. Care enough. You are protecting something too valuable to keep bleeding out for those who never once brought a bandage. Peace is the most expensive thing you own. Enough. Not your house, not your car, your title, not your platform. None of it matters if you have to lose your peace to keep it. And here's the true thing. People who are used to your availability will treat your peace like it's optional. They'll call you distant, cold, different. But different isn't bad. Different is often the result of deliverance. Deliverance from needing to be liked. Deliverance from always saying yes. Deliverance from guilt. Care enough. Deliverance from the noise. When you begin to pull back, the ones who truly value won't question your silence. They'll respect your solitude. Care enough. But the ones who are only attached to your output will become offended by your boundaries. That's how you know who's really for you. Not based on who celebrates your spotlight, but who honors your silence. Pulling back allows clarity to rise. Care enough. It allows your inner voice, the one you silenced for so long, to be heard again. So many people are living loud but listening little. They're scrolling. Care enough. Posting, texting, talking, but they've stopped listening to the still, small voice inside that says, this is not you anymore. You've outgrown certain conversations. You've outgrown certain arguments. You've outgrown certain rooms. And it's okay. Care enough. You are not obligated to participate in every battle just because you used to fight there. Care enough. You are not required to remain in every friendship just it once served a season. You are not chained to the version of yourself that others remember. This is your liberation season, and liberation often begins in isolation. And care enough, there's a divine richness in protecting your peace that cannot be replaced by applause. You don't need 1,000 followers to validate your decision to rest. Care enough. You don't need public approval to disappear for a while. You need peace more than you need popularity. And listen, pulling back doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean you're bitter. It means you finally love yourself enough to stop bleeding for people who never noticed your wounds. Enough. It means you are choosing to honor the cry of your soul over the loud demands of your surroundings. Have you ever noticed that some of the most powerful breakthroughs happen in the quiet? That growth rarely announces itself with a trumpet. Trees grow in silence. Flowers bloom in silence. Transformation happens not in the spotlight, but in the soil. And some of you are in a soil season, a barren season, a hidden season. Don't despise it. It's sacred. You don't need to make a dramatic exit. You don't need to burn bridges. Just walk away and care enough, not from anger, from alignment. Just let go, not because you're broken, because you're being built. Pull back and breathe. Pull back and process. Pull back and reconnect with who you are without the noise. Care enough, because sometimes it's not the situation that's toxic. It's your access to it that's unguarded. When you protect your peace and care enough, you are not building walls. You are setting doors, and not every door opens to everyone. You get to choose who gets access. Care enough. You get to choose what energy enters your space. You get to choose what conversations are allowed into your mental atmosphere. That is not cruelty. That is maturity. You are not called to be everyone's answer. Care enough. You were not created to be on call for every crisis that isn't your assignment. You were not designed to run on empty while carrying the weight of other people's irresponsibility. Protect your peace. Say no without guilt. Lear enough. Unread without shame. Go quiet without fear. Disappoint people if it means you no longer have to disappoint yourself. You've spent too long sacrificing your sanity for situations that never fed you back. So pull back. Pull back from drama. Pull back from digital noise. Pull from overcommitment. Pull back from draining conversations. Pull back from trying to prove your worth to people who don't have the capacity to see it. There is a silent war happening every day. A war not on your body, not on your finances, but on your focus. In a world full of noise, distraction has become the norm, and attention has become a commodity. Everything is pulling at you. Notifications, opinions, expectations, performance, care enough, appearances, platforms. You are surrounded by voices, but here's the truth. Not every voice deserves your attention, and not in every demand deserves your energy. 25 is not a year to live scattered. It is not a year to be double-minded, running in circles, stuck in cycles that drain you of clarity and purpose. It is not a time to be busy doing things that don't grow you. You were not created for motion without meaning. Activity does not equal progress. Noise does not equal strategy. Visibility does not equal purpose. Because life will always offer you 1,000 things to look at, worry about, engage with, react to. But only one or two that truly align with your assignment. The rest is noise. And if you don't learn how to discern what matters most, you will spend your life doing everything and becoming nothing. Saying yes to everyone and showing up for no one, not even yourself. When you reclaim your focus, you stop being a servant to distractions. You stop chasing after every invitation that flatters your ego but fractures your spirit. You stop entertaining people who clap for your downfall in private but smile in your presence. You stop checking the room for approval when God already gave you an assignment. And care enough. You strive to be everybody becoming something to yourself. And make no mistake, reclaiming your focus will cost you something. Care enough. It will cost you access. It will cost you popularity. It may even cost you relationships with people who benefited from your confusion. Care enough. Who preferred you distracted because a focused version of you would outgrow them. A focused mind is a weapon. A focused life is a miracle. Care enough. A focused soul can't be manipulated, because when you know what you're called to, what you are building, and who you are becoming, no detour looks attractive anymore. You stop negotiating with mediocrity. You stop apologizing for your grind. You stop being seduced by shortcuts. enough. You stop explaining your silence. Focus isn't loud. Focus is discipline. It doesn't scream for attention. It stays in the lab. It stays in prayer. It stays in solitude. It stays in development. And because of that, it always produces results, even if they take time. You may not be loud right now and care enough, but you're building. You may not be seen right now, but you're growing. You may not be praised right now, but you're progressing. When you reclaim your focus, you're reeling your life with intention. You begin to recognize what's never worth your energy. The gossip loses flavor. Care enough, the jealousy loses power. The noise fades. The addiction to approval dies. You no longer wake up to please people. You wake up to pursue purpose. You stop living reactive and start living proactive. You stop being a thermometer for the world's chaos and become a thermostat for your own peace. It's time to stop being emotionally available to every distraction. Every notification doesn't need a response. Every opinion doesn't deserve a reaction. Every critic doesn't qualify for a reply. When your focus is clear, your energy becomes sacred. And listen, if the enemy cannot destroy you, he will distract you, because distraction delays destiny. It doesn't always come in the form of disaster. Sometimes it shows up as comfort. Care enough. Sometimes it shows up as a good opportunity that pulls you just a little bit off track. Sometimes it's wrapped in attention that flatters your insecurity but sabotages your purpose. And if you're not focused, you'll call it a blessing while it's actually a detour. You cannot build greatness distracted. Care enough. You cannot cultivate your gifts while constantly comparing yourself. You cannot maximize your time if every hour belongs to somebody else's emergency. Focus requires courage. The courage to say no. The courage to disappoint others so you don't disappoint your own future. And don't expect everyone to understand. When you reclaim your focus, you will seem distant. You will seem different. You'll be misunderstood. But you have to ask yourself, do I want to be understood or do I want to be elevated? Because sometimes you can't have both. Sometimes you have to walk alone for a while so you can walk in power for a lifetime. Focus is not about hustle. It's about alignment. It's about making sure that what you say, yes, to this year speaks directly to the calling on your life. It's about doing fewer things better. It's about leaving space for silence, for presence, for prayer, for creativity, for strategic action. This is the year you stop multitasking your destiny. No more partial energy, no more half-built dreams, no more stretching yourself than to fit into containers you've already outgrown. Reclaim your mind and care enough. Reclaim your mornings, reclaim your standards, reclaim your routines, reclaim your life. Growth is not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Care enough. Sometimes it happens behind the scenes while you're fighting battles no one knows about. Sometimes it looks like distancing yourself from circles you once called home. Sometimes it's healing from wounds that others denied. And sometimes care enough. Your growth will make people uncomfortable, not because you've done something wrong, but because you've stopped doing what made them feel right? You don't owe anyone a speech for evolving. You don't have to justify why you stopped answering every call, responding to every crisis, or showing up in places when your soul no longer feels safe. Care enough. You don't have to explain why your laugh isn't as loud in certain rooms or why your spirit doesn't settle where it used to. The truth is, care enough. People want the version of you that fits their narrative, the version they can manage, the version that serves their needs, the version that stays predictable, convenient, and small. But when you start choosing real growth, you outgrow roles, not just relationships. You stop shrinking to keep the peace. You stop apologizing for thinking bigger. You stop making yourself available to conversations that no longer feed your mind or stretch your spirit. And the moment you stop playing the role they cast you in, the moment you rewrite the script, they will say you've changed. That's fine. Growth is change. You were not born to stay the same. You were not created to live stuck in cycles. Care enough. You were not designed to keep repeating versions of yourself to keep others comfortable. You are here to evolve. Growth is personal. It's sacred. And care enough. It's between you and the process, not you and their opinions. You don't have to put your transformation on trial just because someone else refuses to leave their comfort zone. You don't need permission to go higher. And care enough. You don't need a green light from people who have no vision for where you're going. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. Care enough. Let them misinterpret the silence, misread the change, judge the distance. Their understanding is not your responsibility. Their confusion is not your burden. Care enough. Their discomfort is not your business. Growth will cost you people. It will cost you old habits. Care enough. And it will cost you routines that made you feel safe but kept you stagnant. It will cost you the false peace that came from pleasing everyone but yourself. Growth will strip away everything fake in your life. And when it does, let it. Don't explain why you no longer fit the room. Don't explain why you no longer laugh at the same jokes. Don't explain why your energy has changed. Don't explain why your circle is smaller enough. Don't explain why your dreams have grown bigger than their expectations. Some people were never supposed to understand you. They weren't assigned to your destiny. They were just present in your history. And history should never have the final say on your identity. You are not who you were. And you should be. You don't have to respond to every rumor and care enough. You don't have to defend your transformation to people who are never invested in your well-being. Growth is not a group project. Care enough. You don't need a consensus to change your life. You just need the courage to do it. Do you want to know what maturity is? Maturity is understand that not everyone gets to walk with you in every season. That some people were only assigned to a version of you that no longer exists. Care enough. And that's okay. You don't have to force old connections to fit your new calling. Care enough. You don't have to keep explaining why you're no longer available for what doesn't align. Because here's the truth. Some people love the broken version of you. They loved you when you were easily manipulated, when your boundaries were loose. And care enough. When your confidence was shaky, when your silence could be bought with flattery. They loved you when you didn't know who you were. But now you're growing. Care enough. You're aligning. You're walking in identity. And that version of you intimidates the insecure. It convicts the complacent. It frustrates those who benefited from your confusion. Let them be uncomfortable. The discomfort is not yours to carry. Don't explain your peace enough. Don't explain your elevation. Don't explain your joy. Don't explain your boundaries. Don't explain your decision to protect to what's sacred. Because if they really knew your story, the nights you cried, the prayers you whispered, the pain you hid, and care enough, the effort it took just to breathe some days, they wouldn't question your glow. They'd applaud your survival. They'd honor your resilience. They'd respect your journey. Let your peace announce your healing. Let your boundaries declare your wholeness. Let your decisions reflect your maturity. Let your absence communicate your clarity. Let your silence preserve your dignity. Because this is your season of becoming. And everything that is no longer aligned with where you're headed must fall away. Unapologetically. If your transformation makes others uncomfortable, so be it. Growth was never meant to be convenient for everyone else. It was meant to set you free. So stop trying to explain a process they were never part of. Stop trying to translate a language they never learned. Stop giving access to people who no longer have clearance. In a world obsessed with performance, attention, and applause, it's easy to forget the most important mission of all: mastering yourself, not managing others, not keeping up with others, not proving anything to others. Just mastering you, because if you're not careful, life will have you so busy chasing people, chasing validation, chasing status, chasing timelines, that you lose sight of the only person you were ever responsible for, yourself. You cannot become who you were born to be while running after someone else's shadow. You can't build a strong identity when your eyes are constantly on someone else's lane. You can't grow in power if your energy is tied up in being liked, included, or noticed. You were not created to chase. You were created to cultivate. Cultivate your gift. Cultivate your mind. Cultivate your character. Cultivate your spirit. And the truth is, when you become obsessed with mastering yourself, you don't have time to chase people because you're too busy chasing your own potential. But that takes discipline. It takes honesty. It takes patience. Mastering yourself requires looking inward when it's easier to look outward. It requires addressing your habits, your flaws, your fears, your wounds, not projecting them onto others, not hiding behind distractions. So many people are exhausted not because they're overworked, because they're misfocused, running after people who don't respect them, running after opportunities that weren't designed for them, running after trends that drain their soul, running after applause from crowds who don't even know their name. And at the end of the day, they come home empty, not because they're not capable, but because they've been pouring their strength in the wrong direction. When you turn the mirror on yourself, when you start dealing with your discipline, your boundaries, your thoughts, your words, your inner life, that's when real transformation begins. Mastery isn't about perfection. It's about ownership. It's about saying, I may not be where I want to be, but I won't blame anyone else for my life. I am responsible for what I think, how I act, what I allow. And that kind of mindset, that kind of self-awareness, it's rare because it's hard. It forces you to say no when your emotions say yes. It makes you build when you'd rather binge. It calls you to silence when you'd rather retaliate. It requires you to let go of shortcuts and embrace process. You don't chase people anymore, that they come to you. Not because you beg for attention, because your energy speaks louder than your words. Not because you performed for approval, but because your integrity drew the right eyes. You master yourself. You attract what aligns instead of chasing what distracts. You stop chasing love because you've become love. You stop chasing attention because you're anchored in purpose. You stop chasing inclusion because you understand isolation is sometimes where your greatest growth is born. When you're chasing others, your self-worth is external. It fluctuates with their approval. Their silence rattles you. Their criticism cripples you. Their distance makes you question your value. But when you've mastered yourself, you become rooted. You can hear the now without it crushing your identity. You can feel the absence without it shaking your confidence. You can walk away from dysfunction without explaining your peace. Mastery means getting clear about who you are and what you were called to do, and letting that clarity govern your decisions. It means not following every invitation, not responding to every insult, not attaching your destiny to people who were never part of your purpose. It means staying in alignment even when you feel alone. It means choosing growth over gossip, solitude over spotlight, process over popularity. The most powerful people are not the loudest, not the most visible, not the most celebrated. They are the ones who have mastered the art of showing up for themselves. Every day, whether they're applauded or ignored, they keep building. Whether they're praised or criticized, they keep moving. Whether they're liked or left out, they stay committed to their calling. Don't you dare waste another year of your life chasing people who weren't meant to walk with you. Don't you dare spend another season begging for inclusion when you were born to stand apart. Don't you dare shrink your light to fit into spaces that can't handle your power. You were made for more, but you won't reach it until you master yourself. This is the season to double down on your development, to stop scrolling and start building, to stop reacting and start responding, to stop needing constant validation and start walking an internal vision. What are you doing with your gift? What are you doing with your time? What are you doing with your words? What are you doing with your influence? You don't need more followers. You need more focus. You don't need more exposure. You need more execution. You don't need more platforms. You need more purpose. Chasing others is a detour from destiny. Mastering yourself is the only road to fulfillment. And when you choose that path, the right people will find you, not because you chased them, but because you became someone worth finding. Master yourself. Master your time. Master your thoughts. Master your emotions. Master your response. Because everything you're waiting for on the outside starts with who you choose to become on the inside. In a world addicted to the spotlight, where everyone is trying to be seen, heard, and applauded, there is something rare and powerful about choosing to elevate quietly. There is a sacred strength in pulling back, growing in private, and letting your progress echo louder than your posts. Some of your greatest breakthroughs will happen in the silence. Some of your deepest healing will happen without an audience. Some of your most necessary evolution will happen away from the crowd, not because you're hiding, but because you're becoming. When you choose to elevate quietly, you are no longer moved by noise. You are no longer chasing applause. You are no longer intoxicated by attention. You are no longer explaining your vision to people who have no intention of understanding it. You are no longer defending your destiny to minds that were never assigned to it. You are simply doing the work brick by brick, layer by layer, step by step, in silence. Because here's the truth, some of the loudest people are the least grounded. They shine for a season, then burn out. They impress many, but impact few. But the ones who build in silence, the ones who spend less time being seen and more time becoming solid, those are the ones who last. Those are the ones who cannot be shaken when the storms come. Those are the ones who aren't rattled by who left or who's watching. They are not performing. They are preparing. Let them think you disappeared. Let them wonder where you went. Let them assume you've fallen off, dimmed down, or faded away. That's not your business. That's not your focus. You're not lost. You're locked in. You're not missing. You're mastering. You're not hiding. You're healing. And when the time is right, your growth will speak so loud they won't be able to ignore you. Elevation requires insulation. You can't rise if you're constantly tangled in the opinions of people who stopped growing years ago. You can't hear divine instruction if your ears are tuned into drama. You can't carry greatness and gossip in the same heart. You must learn to separate yourself, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. There's a difference between being seen and being sent. When you are truly sent by God, by purpose, by vision, you don't have to force visibility. You don't have to market your value to people who couldn't recognize gold if it were handed to them. You don't have to beg for attention when your authentic elevation becomes undeniable. Oh, let them wonder. Let them feel the absence of your light. Not because you're being petty, but because you've stopped pouring into what doesn't pour back. You've stopped feeding environments that starved your peace. You've stopped carrying people who refuse to walk on their own. That's not betrayal. That's boundaries. You're allowed to walk away from circles that limited your voice. Child and care enough. You're allowed to grow past friendships that were only based on your brokenness. You're allowed to rise beyond conversations that no longer stretch you. That's not disloyalty. That's development. Growth will always require distance, not because you're better, but because you're different now. You're moving with intention. You're protecting your peace. You're pruning your energy. You're investing in your becoming. Anyone who truly values your growth won't be offended by your silence. They'll celebrate your rise. Because the truth is, you can't grow and stay accessible to everything and everyone. Your time is sacred now. Your mental space is not a community garden. Your presence is not a public event. You are in a season of private elevation, and that's powerful. Some of the most successful people didn't make an announcement when they were building. They didn't post every win. They didn't publicize every decision. They didn't broadcast every goal. They just kept working, kept trusting, kept showing up, even when no one was clapping. And when they finally emerged, the world had no choice but to notice. Elevate quietly. Let your discipline do the talking. Let your consistency do the explaining. Let your excellence break the silence. Let your transformation be louder than your excuses. And when you finally step into what you've been building, they won't be able to say a word except, "We didn't see it coming." They didn't see it because you didn't perform. They didn't hear it because you didn't broadcast. They didn't anticipate it because you didn't need applause to breathe. This is the year you stop telling them and start showing them. Not through arguments, not through explanations, through results, through fruit, through elevation that was cultivated in the dark. Every seed grows beneath the surface. Every masterpiece begins in solitude. Every elevation starts in silence. So stop doubting yourself because no one is clapping. Stop questioning your direction because others don't understand it. Stop thinking you're falling behind just because it's quiet. Some of your best work is happening now. Away from the eyes, beyond the noise, divine covering. Let them wonder how you got so strong. Let them feel the space you once filled. Let them wrestle with how they lost access. Watch what they took for granted turn into gold. And you keep moving in silence. You keep praying in secret. You keep grinding when no one is looking. You keep loving yourself out loud in the mirror, even if the world doesn't reflect it back yet. Because the ones who elevate quietly always rise the highest, not just in platform, but in peace. You don't owe the world your process. But when it's time, let your presence declare what your silence was working on.